I know. Everything seems to crumble. Life has a knack for steering the pot whenever you get too cozy. Every time you're starting to feel too comfortable, wherever you are standing, life just seems to find a way to jolt you awake, to force you to make your next move. It does happen. And I've noticed it quite a few times, and I'm noticing it right now. For many years, my life has been moving in quite a predictable way. I could even say that each day was almost a carbon copy of the day before. There was almost no difference between one day and the next one. Everything was very predictable. I could almost tell what would happen along the day. My predictions were quite realistic. I will do my best to try to describe the idea, but it goes something like this. I felt like I was drawn into some kind of vacuum machine where life just happened to me. I didn't make life happen. And I think that's what happens when you don't take risks. Just nothing happens. That was happening to me. That has been happening to me for the last maybe 10 years, maybe a bit less. And I realized that I was somehow stuck. Yes, I've been going through things, I've been learning new things, meeting new people, but overall I felt like my life was really stuck. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, and the feeling of frustration just started to grow bigger, started to grow stronger, until I decided to really go inside and to be more introspective and to try to pinpoint what I was doing wrong and what really needed to change. Over my last years, I've been collecting lots of moments of emptiness and passivity, moments where I can't really figure out I can't really associate or tie to anything productive. It might have been the case that maybe it was an exploratory phase in my life, or I was just going through such existential crisis, or it was part of, or but the truth is I feel like they were mostly lost hours, and hours that used to stretch into eternity, just because, they lost all relevance. And either they became hollow and void, or they were compelled to be filled with something, just anything, just for the sake of it. And that's how we get used to numbing ourselves, choose to exit reality. And that's a way, of course, to avoid confronting what's really happening to us. And that's what was happening to me. I felt numb. And I felt like I was just not really here, like I was 50% alive, maybe. But then at night, when you lie in bed, reality hits and you realize another day has slipped away, another week, another month, another year, an entire lifetime. And you just don't get that back. And at times you don't even realize until too much time has gone by. We tend to get stuck in those loops, really, and then you blink and time slips away, and even more so when we are not paying attention. It's just that you don't seem to notice it is passing. You're not aware of it passing. We are left asking ourselves, where did time go? What did I do with it? Only mindful moments anchor time. Moments where we choose to be present have the power to ground us and make us realize, make us notice the passing of time. I don't know how to convey the idea, but it would be something like a time leak. It feels like you have a time leak in your life. And that time leak is not because the hours just rush, it's because you feel you haven't done anything with them, and you don't know where they went, you don't know what happened to them. I believe, because I've experienced it myself, that that's unfulfillment in action. It sounds, I don't know, it doesn't sound that intuitive. At times it sounds a bit contradictory, and it makes me wonder if I'm saying the right thing. But yes, I think I am. At least that's how I feel it. When you feel like you're stuck in life, there are lots of different things that can happen. You might notice it and decide to get unstuck. You might remain stuck for many, many years. Or life might get you unstuck. And we all know that life has mysterious ways. So it will usually throw you a curveball, and it will do something for you to react and for you to move. My life has been stuck for almost a decade, and last year everything started to fall apart in, I don't know, maybe in 2 months period or 3 months. Everything started to crumble. I could say that in that period my life imploded somehow, and mom ended up in hospital. She's much better right now. I started I started to experience health issues of my own, and job was going to hell. And in the middle of all of that, I decided to open a business, a small fitness center with a friend, an ex-work colleague. And I just started to notice how everything was, and I just started to notice how everything was spiraling out of my control. My professional and financial situation, my emotional well being, and this sense of fear and insecurity that the whole new situation had brought me. And I felt like I was going to blow this, really. When life forces you to move and you just leave that idle period of your life behind, life forces you to move, and when you get when you get into that chaos that life put you in, you suddenly start making decisions. I mean, you start taking steps, you start doing things, you get moving, and you set yourself in action, and life loves action. Like, there are lots of things you wouldn't have done in your previous situation, and when you are forced into a chaotic situation, you just start to find the strength, or maybe just, I don't know if the strength, but you find some degree of commitment to everything, commitment to yourself and to life that you didn't know you had. And you just start making things happen all of a sudden. But most of the time it's because life pushed you first. It just jolted you awake, it just took you out of the slumber. And just like that, you start making things happen. And that's when you gain momentum. There are lots of things, way too many things that you never thought you were capable of doing. And that's when you discover that you really are. So I would take it like this. Maybe life, like you didn't live life any choice but to push you. Because if that hadn't happened, you would have never changed anything. That's how I feel it. And that's how I see it in my case. Maybe if all those things hadn't happened, if nothing had started to crumble, I would still be in the same situation. Maybe I wouldn't have changed anything because I felt I was comfortable like that. And there was too much fear for me to change anything. So maybe I needed some kind of strength, some kind of impulse that was much stronger than my fear for me to convince myself that something had to change. So when I was in the middle of the dance, I took the leap and I decided to implement lots of other changes that I've been thinking about, like like starting this business, like changing many of my habits, like quitting my job, and many smaller changes to I would say let life go to shit, at least for a while, and see where that takes you. It might surprise you, and it might take you somewhere pleasant. Maybe it takes you somewhere you've been wanting to go, or maybe it's somewhere, some entirely different place. It doesn't matter, it will take you somewhere. That's for sure. And even if you don't like the final destination, you can always change it, and you can always decide and choose to move in another direction. but at least you already got moving, and it's easier to move when you're already moving. That's just a matter of physics. It's much easier. And I can realize the impact it had on me, because I know I would have never taken that step by myself if I had to. I don't know, maybe I would have, but I don't know how long it would have taken me. I just, I spent way too much time trying to find that courage to take that first step. And it was like life was getting impatient with me, just pushed me down the stairs and said, okay, just go. Go and just see what you're gonna make out of it. Yes. And sometimes that's exactly where you find yourself, your true self. I think even Leon agrees with that. Maybe we can check that out. Leon? Leon? So he clearly approves. He has also been through some existential crisis lately. So we are in this together, and it feels awesome to have him as my partner in crime. I think he's getting a little bit bored. There are huge opportunities that I missed just because I was too scared, and because I feared that I wouldn't be good enough, or that maybe it wouldn't turn out the way I wanted it to. And those are usually, they are costly mistakes. But if you get to learn from them, I think they're just, in a way, they have fulfilled a certain role. I don't know if I've been able to learn from them just immediately, but I think I'm doing it right now. And at least that's something. I can't turn back time, and I can't change what I did back then. I can't bring back those opportunities. But if I can learn something from them, then I'm good. And I've noticed that most of the times when a certain event or a certain opportunity or something in life causes you to be scared, to feel scared, and to think, oh dear God, this is... Most of the times you are in front of an opportunity that can be life-changing and that can teach you a lot and can make you stronger in so many ways. And that's where the real learning and the real self-growth happen. And most of such opportunities are the ones that leave you thinking, holy, I did it. And that's an awesome feeling. You will usually notice that when you start taking steps to get unstuck in life, to make changes, you will usually struggle a bit, and that's not necessarily bad. On the contrary, you need to keep in mind that you're doing things you were not used to doing, and you're learning new things, you're meeting new people, and of course you will struggle. I believe that transformation and a bit of struggle usually come in bundle. They come hand in hand, to the point where you could maybe even say that transformation is a byproduct of struggle. Maybe also a little bit the other way around. I don't know. You could say that growth and discomfort are indeed strange bedfellows. Deep down, I knew that growth just couldn't bloom inside my former shell, and I needed to change something, or else it would never happen. Predictability is a hostile environment for opportunities to sprout. Real life stagnates there. It doesn't thrive there. And we all know that what stagnates dies eventually. And that's a trade-off. That's a trade-off with a huge payoff. And in my case, life kind of forced me to make the move. And it's important to be grateful for it. It's important to embrace the new challenge, because it will turn you into a better version of yourself. Or maybe it would be more appropriate to say that it will let you realize or materialize a better version of yourself, because I do think that we are already equipped with everything we need, with everything to be yourself, to be our best versions, though we don't always get to materialize it. This is probably the only version. There is one and only version of ourselves, and that's already the best version. But of course, it's sometimes we get lost and we don't get to unveil that version. I got the chance to see how life works its magic. And I've noticed it usually takes one small change on your side, and everything just cascades into motion. Everything starts changing. It's like with one change, you set something in motion. You set some transformation process in motion. You don't need to overhaul everything. It just takes one small change and everything starts changing, everything starts finding its place. And you realize you're right where you need to be, and everything is like it needs to be. Everything is where it needs to be. It gets much easier when you notice that and when you take advantage of it. So it's important to keep that in mind. Just change that one thing and watch the dominoes fall. Or else you wait. But if you decide to wait, you're just waiting for something external to happen, for fate's dice to roll. And you gamble with your time, and you gamble with your life until life decides to set you in motion. So that's exactly how it works. You struggle, you trust, and you struggle a bit more. And when you take that first step, many great things begin to unfold, and also a fair share of adversities too. that will happen. But magic happens when you put yourself out there and when you tell the world about your dreams, when you show the world who you are and what you're capable of. There are many great things that start to happen to you. Granted. Besides, you get to know a different shade of yourself. You forge character and you start to find hidden parts of yourself. You start to uncover them. But of course, in the previous years, I didn't have the chance to test myself because the waters were too still for me to discover certain things about my personality and about my strength. It's like your map is updating constantly as you change and the situation changes. Your inner GPS recalibrates and all the paths start updating. Some open up, some just are no longer there. There's a quote often attributed to Jim Rohn that says, "Your life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by change." And this is my own perception. Even if it might get better by chance at times, it won't continue to do so indefinitely. It won't always be like that. I mean, you can have some stroke of luck, but that won't be permanent. I mean, that luck won't be permanent, and it won't be sustainable if there's no action beneath it. So life might get better by chance, but there's something we need to do to keep it like that. There's some degree of change on our side. When you have been too quiet for too long, life will force you to get out there. It will push you out there and it will find a way to do so. And that's exactly why I think everything falls apart. Life needed to wake you up and it needed to get you moving. It needed to put you out there. And at times that's the only way it knows. Life will put you in a situation where you will need to make decisions. You will need to take steps. You will need to do something. You just won't be able to remain the same way you've been. So yes, life will shake you. It will do so. Life just wants you to get out of your shell. And it will usually find the way to do it. You might not always like it, but what really matters is what you do with it. Thanks for watching.